Everybody get down. Everybody dance. Get up. Get up. That little gay talk show. 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 Welcome. It's That Little Gay Talk Show with your host, Joel Tatum. And it is Pride. A deeper love. Pride. A deeper love. Pride. Whoa, 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 whoa. Welcome, everybody, from lovely Houston, Texas, in the heart of coronavirus territory. Yeah, we were supposed to have a rally today. That got canceled. All the bars are closed, and the restaurants are at 50%. So, yay! We're back to where we started from. Yes. It's That Little Gay Talk Show. We're just going to do our thing today, and we try to watch as much Pride as we possibly can. I have a guest host with me today, Spunkmeyer Brown. Are you on the line, Spunkmeyer?
What's up?
What's up?
It's Spunkmeyer Brown.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Coming to you live and in person.
Coming to us.
Well, not in person.
Well, coming to us live, but not in person.
Yeah.
Alive, but not in person.
Alive.
Alive.
For today anyway,
but not in person. Mm-hmm. What's going on with you, Spunkmeyer?
Well, something amazing happened to me this morning when I was organizing this morning, getting my stuff together, and something really amazing happened. I found all my porn.
Oh, wow.
That I had lost.
What? I
had put it all. I got on this crazy organization kick a few months ago before I moved out of my place, and I put all my porn on this USB drive, this thumb drive, which is really stupid because then I lost it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's all my porn.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I just found it just now.
Okay, so you bought porn?
No. It's just, no, I don't buy porn. And actually, when I say porn, I mean more like softcore porn. But, I mean, no, it's like Pornhub stuff, just videos that I've downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I have some favorites that was kind of suck that I lost. Because, sometimes videos, they take them down and stuff. You can't really guarantee that they'll always be there.
There is nothing like spending... Okay, so here is let's all be honest here. For most of us, we're still pretty much in quarantine. For most of us, we're still not hooking up. I'm still getting requests about coming over on
right
Scruff and Grinder and Growler and all that other stuff. And I'm sorry, I'm just not ready to do that yet. It's not just something that I have been. I've been thinking about it. I have missed the touch of a man for months. Months. Well, maybe longer, but I don't think it's been that. Before quarantine, I think I was doing okay. So I didn't really miss that much. But during quarantine, you get a little lonely and you start to think about wanting to touch a man in all the right places. And so when everything slowly got lifted here in Texas, people started getting out a little bit more. People were starting to take a few more risks. I wasn't willing to do that. I gone back to work and everything else. So that was enough.
And so you never went out to the bars when they were open?
No, actually I went, to the neighborhood bar down the street.
TK Bitterman?
Yeah, okay. And, I'd have a quick drink there and then leave. I wouldn't.
Oh, I think you told me about that.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't hang out for too long. I'd just go in there for a quick drink, maybe an hour or two, sit outside on the patio and, get some fresh air just to be outside. But no, I haven't hit the gay bars at all because I know how we can be. And I don't want people rubbing up all on me and all this other stuff, because I know how we can be, especially since most of us have been in quarantine for a while. You know, I didn't want to be like, you know, the meat to a bunch of starving men, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I went to JR's with some friends, and you know, they sit you down and JR's in that main area, they put tables all up, and they basically sit you down at a table. Mm-hmm. And you know, you can't order from the bar; you have to order from a waiter. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. There and
stare at, what's that?
I did not know that. That's cute.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And we went around to like all the places. An Eagle, mm-hmm. You know, on the dance floor, they had tables set up on the dance floor. Mm-hmm. And then, what's the leather? I always forget the name of the
Ripcord.
Ripcord. They just take you to a table. Mm-hmm. It was interesting, but you know, it's just not. You can't go to a bar and sit at a table and stare at each other. That's not what a bar is all about.
That's not what a bar is all about. See, I did not know that because I just been like, you know, my picture in my mind is, you know, you see all these pictures on the internet, and everybody's all up on top of each other and all this other stuff. I'm proud of you gays. I am proud of the gays here in Houston. Y'all were social distancing, because I can tell you right now, when I went to the straight bars, they were all on top of each other, and I'm like, nope, I'm not. I'm not staying here.
Yeah, I think the gay bars are pretty. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the Hamburger Marys, they their whole drag queen show, they actually took it outside, so they would have it in the parking lot.
Oh, that's cute.
One time I just happened to be riding by, and it was, I mean, they had their music blaring, and I rode by and I was like, oh my God, it's like a festival here. But then I realized, oh no, it's just their performance. They just took it outside.
Oh, okay. Okay. That sounds cute. I really, you know, they had closed Hamburger Mary's for a little bit because somebody had COVID. So they closed it to scrub it down, I guess. And I was thinking about going up there for lunch sometime last week with my cousin Marcus, but they were closed, which was a shame. I'm sure they're back open now. I'm sure they got everything taken care of, and they're super clean and everything. But I had read that they had been closed because of COVID. Somebody, one of the performers or one of the servers or something had COVID, tested positive for COVID, so they had to close it down. But I think they should be back open. As for Pride today, I have no idea if they're considered a restaurant, so they are open. Mm-hmm. I know that all the bars are closed, so no bars. I'm sorry, Queen. Yeah, you gonna have to do it at home.
So if there's a bar and a restaurant, though, can you go sit at the bar?
No, you're not supposed to sit at the bar.
Oh, okay.
They should have. Now, when I go back to work, I go back to work tomorrow. So when I go back to work tomorrow, there shouldn't be any bar stools. And if there are, they should be very far apart from each other. Because we're back to 50% capacity at the restaurants. And I know that they've probably taken out a few more tables, which is going to hurt business.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is your restaurant even able to make a profit that? You know what? I have no idea. I honestly do not know. We're back to 50%. So when my location opened up, we were at, all the other locations had been open from 25 to 50%. So they have already been prepared for this. My location didn't open until almost 2 weeks ago when we were at 75%. So to go back to 50%, and it's a big restaurant. Don't get me wrong. That Washington location is huge. It's a huge restaurant. So there's plenty of room for social distancing, except for maybe I think there's 4 booths in the middle, and they're all on top of each other. So I'm sure that 2 of those booths had to go. So, but for the most part, it's mostly tables, and they have an outside patio. So I know that most of those tables probably had to leave, and I'm not sure because I haven't been back to work yet. But from the rules that I have read, either there's no people at the bar, or they had to take away chairs from the bar. There is
there is an area for them to sit. They have like cocktail tables and stuff. And I think those are already 6 feet apart. So I think they're fine there. But the bar, no, because for the last 2 weeks, people have been sitting right on top of each other. And I go to work and I'm like, why are these people sitting on top of each other? I don't want all these people around me. When I go to TK Bitterman's is a small little bar. They don't get a huge crowd. So there's enough people, I can sit inside the bar and be far away from another person. Right. Because I'll go in the afternoon on a Monday and there's enough people far away. So, or I can sit out on the patio and I'll be fine. And there's someone sitting at maybe a table down. It's just a small little place. So they rarely get packed. The only time they get packed is during sports season. And that is the only time they get packed. So I never worry about that.
But when you were at TK Bitterman's, like having a drink, because people, when you get intoxicated, like all concept of regular behavior goes out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, were people coming up to you and going, "Hey, what's up?" Mm-hmm. And invading your 6 foot space?
Yeah, there were one or two who wanted to shake my hand or wanted to give me a hug, and I had to say, no, we're not doing that. I got some lung issues. A lot of them know about what happened to me a few months ago. So when I tell them, hey, no, you need to step back, they understand.
Right.
So it's no big deal because they kind of understand. And for those who don't, somebody will usually say, well, Joel had an issue with his lungs a few months ago. So, don't get mad if he says you need to step back. And I'm never rude about it.
That's like your friend. That's not your cheers bar.
Well, Singapore works up there. So I usually go up there with her. So she knows everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So she's always super nice about it. And she like I said, she always tells people, when they try to walk up. So people don't walk up on me. And yeah, I mean, I don't have, like I said, I had, for those of you out there in the audience, I had a bacterial infection in my lungs a few months ago, right before COVID started. I mean, literally right before COVID started. So I got to the hospital and I had to be put on a respirator because I couldn't breathe. I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't breathe. And they put me on a respirator and to clear out my lungs and everything else. And they gave me this stuff to put in the respirator that helped clear out my lungs. And since it was a bacterial infection, they gave me antibiotics. And that was back in February. And I was just talking before the show because I felt like I was getting it again. And I think I know where it's coming from. And I'm going to have to call somebody to have somebody look at the air conditioner vents because I think they're a little dirty. And I think they need to be cleaned. And I think I should be fine after that. But we're not going to get into too much of that because, like I said, it's pride. We don't need to be talking about my medical conditions.
You and me both.
So here we are. Here we are back again. For the most part, Corona has gotten out of control in Houston. Of course.
Why are we ground situation? I thought for sure, Houston will be like, Houston will be fine. No, we're like the worst city.
I know. But the sad thing is when it comes to Houston and most of the cities in Texas is that the governor decided to take the control back from the cities to the state. And when the cities tried to tell him, hey, you might want to slow down on opening everything, he's like, no, I'm going to do whatever I want and blah, 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 blah. And I think one of the greatest battles that's been going on here in Houston is County Commissioner Hidalgo. That woman she is just out of control and she's on it.
No, wait, I don't even know who that is.
And now I'm gonna get her. Let me make sure because I'm sure I'm gonna get her first name. I think it's Linda. I'm sure I'm gonna get her first name wrong, but I'm gonna look it up I'm gonna Google that real quick. But she is Harris County Commissioner. Oh, Lena. See, that's, I knew it. Lena Hidalgo.
You were about to get the wrong
I was
woman.
a girl, that's what. And, she was born, she's 29 years old. She's one of the youngest people in the history of the Harris County Commissioner's Court. She grew up in Bogota, Colombia. Well, she was born in Bogota, Colombia. And she is just a firecracker. She came into Harris County ready to get to work. She broke up the old good old boys kind of thing at that.
Oh, so we like her. I thought she did something bad.
No, we like her. We like her. A lot of Houstonians are like, she has been battling the governor since this whole thing started because she wanted to make it mandatory for people to wear masks, and she wanted to fine people because we're trying to keep the hospitals clear. And now look what happened. Now we're like the worst. You know what really gets me is the fact that with all this stuff going on, Houston at the beginning, we were fine. When Los Angeles and New York and all these other cities were when they were going through their stuff, Houston was fine. We were, we were keeping it under control, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I have to say it was because of Lena Hidalgo, who kept everything under control. And then when the governor did not like cities taking control of their own stuff, he took that power away from them.
Yeah, that's basically when everything went to hell in a handbasket.
And that's exactly when everything went to hell in a handbasket. And this woman has been battling. She is a local hero. This woman has been battling the governor for weeks. And now suddenly, we're fine. The numbers, they might have a small uptick, but, the numbers are okay, blah, 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 blah. Now, suddenly, the numbers are out of control. Houston is ground zero, and the governor's finally going, well, I guess we'll have to scale back. And I'm like, everybody's just dumbfounded. You let things get out of control. And what happened is that for most governors, the reason why that they decided to open up a lot faster was because of all the protests that happened with people freaking out about the fact that they couldn't see their hair. Everybody blames the protesters from Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff. Everybody blames them for all this going on. That's not where all this came from. This, for the most part, and it came from Memorial Day weekend when a lot of places opened up, especially in Florida where everybody went to the beach, some places in California, and that kind of stuff. So, and then the protests that happened with all these people running to the Capitol to get it in there and say this was a hoax while they're wearing masks and stuff and all this other stuff, that is where all this is now coming from. So we don't even know with the protesters yet how that's going to work out because they haven't counted that yet. And most of the CDC and most doctors are saying that that's not where this is coming from. This is coming from protests from weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And from all y'all dumb bitches going to the beach and everything else. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing. The CDC still says if you want to go outside and do something like ride your bike or go for a walk or any of that other stuff, that's fine. You can do that. You're outside. You're good. But when you start bunching up on top of each other, nobody's wearing masks, this kind of thing, people being, oh, this is a fake and God said. I've watched the latest videos from Florida in this one county.
Oh my God. I was embarrassed to be a human being. Really.
I was embarrassed to be, my first thought is that I think I might have to move to another country.
Oh, I was thinking that too.
I think I might have to start.
Are they that way in other countries? Like in Europe? There's got to be that same.
If they are, it's so small. I don't think anybody pays attention to it. I think when it happens,
I think these are outliers. It's just they just had the podium at that moment, and now everyone is aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. And
I think it's a small percentage that feels that way, but
But with our media, these are a few crackpots who are always gonna say something. You know, there was one woman went completely off on all these.
The one who was like, God is gonna. She kept on going off about God or something.
And you need to be arrested and your crimes against humanity.
She's so normal too. I was you just look like a soccer mom, like taking your kids, to the game.
I know, and I'm like, girl, you need to bring it down about 3 notches. Good Lord. What really got me was the older now, she was obviously a security guard because she's wearing a security guard shirt with the white hair, talking about how, we're taking away God's precious gift of breathing.
Oh, right. Like, what the fuck?
I'm like, what is she talking about? Y'all can't breathe in those things?
Don't they have better things to do?
I know.
I just don't get it.
I don't know. And, why
is this such a big deal?
I know. I don't understand why people, you know what really gets me, and someone said it best, is that how dare you tell me what to do, take away my freedoms, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing, though. When you go into most businesses, there are signs at the door that tell you the rules of what it is you have to do before you come in here.
When you engage with the public, there's rules you have to follow.
Yeah, exactly. So when you step up to a business and you see a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, you put a shirt on and you put shoes on because you want to go into the business.
That would be a funny skit.
And when you see other businesses that says we reserve the right to refuse service, that is the rules of the business. That is the rules of you entering their public space. And if you don't like those rules, you can shop someplace else. Now, for the most part, I don't know of any place, maybe a couple of convenience stores here and there along the way, but they don't really care. I mean, if you work at a convenience store, and I don't mean no harm to people who work in convenience stores, but if you work in a convenience store, we know where your life is. It's okay, baby. We know where your life is. Either you starting over.
That might be a side job.
I know. Either you starting over, either it's a side job.
Wait, did you never read Atlas Shrugged?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, Lord, no. I'm not going into Ayn Rand right now. No, thank you.
The guy decides to work he doesn't work at a convenience store, but he works at like a diner as a busboy because it's the only honest job left in the U.S. or something like that.
Yeah. Ayn Rand is why we're in trouble right now. So I don't.
Oh, really? Yeah. Please.
Well, I don't want to get it. That's a different show. That is a different show.
Okay,
I don't want to get into the
Scratch that from the record.
That's a different show. I'll set up another show where we can debate Ayn Rand and all this other stuff. But I don't really want to. I don't want to spend all my time because that could be hours of talking. And I don't think a podcaster wants to listen to 5 hours of us discussing Ayn Rand.
No, so, I don't think we're qualified.
I don't think we're really qualified. I think we're intelligent enough.
They'd be like, Queens went off for 5 hours on Ayn Rand.
Yeah, exactly.
They just read her in high school.
But I will tell you though, there will probably be a few people out there going, these queens, they pretty damn smart. These some intellectual queens, because they're let's see. Let me remember. Is it sapphosexuals who like super intelligent people?
What?
It's a sexuality. Sapphosexuals who like who are attracted to intelligence, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's sapphosexuals. Okay, y'all. This is why I love living in the modern time. If you don't know something, you Google it. You just Google it. So I think it's sapphosexuals, which I think okay, so let me ask you a question. Since it is Pride, what do you identify as?
I'm gay.
Okay.
I'm just flat out gay.
Mm-hmm. I think
I'm not bisexual. Like I thought. Yeah, I'm like falling off the cliff gay for sure.
Well,
I'm not. I wondered if I was. I don't know if you did, but I thought for a while, well, am I a girl inside?
Oh, yes.
And I kind of was like, no, I'm definitely not a girl inside.
No, it's definitely sapiosexual. So I know I'm probably, let me make sure. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. But if I'm pronouncing it wrong, that's okay. It's someone who is sexually attracted to intellectual or mental qualities. So, I'm very attracted. I like to think that I am gay and possibly a sapiosexual because I love super intelligent men. I do. My biggest dream.
What's the opposite of sapiosexual?
Is there an opposite? People who like really dumb guys?
I think I might be that.
That might be an ego thing. I don't think that's a sexuality thing. That's an ego thing. So,
actually, I'm just joking.
I know.
Yeah, there's issues with dating someone who's too dumb. It's problematic.
It is problematic unless they have a huge dick, and then you don't really care.
But even then, you can't have a serious relationship because there's problems that you will run into just because they're too dumb to figure some things out.
I have often argued this, and I guess we're gonna have a kind of a discussion. I have often argued this. Everybody is smart in their own way. I don't think someone is completely dumb. It might be that there are certain people who know certain things more than maybe you do. I like to think of myself as a well-rounded individual, so I try to know. I'm not trying to know everything, but I'm fascinated by things. So things are. I'm fascinated by certain aspects of literature and art and all this other stuff, but I also get bored very easily. So I recognize that with some people, what their skills are possibly different. I don't know anything about fixing a car. I know nothing about fixing a car. But I have dated someone who was not book smart, but my God, knew his way around a car. I swear to God. Literally could hear a noise and knew exactly what was going on. And fixed it right away, and I was amazed. And I think that's when I realized is that even though we couldn't really have a conversation about the things that I liked, enjoyed, and everything else, I recognized that he was smart when it comes to mechanical things. So I think I think everybody's. I think we put too much emphasis on people being dumb and not recognizing the fact that people are just smart in different ways. People know how to do different things, and we try to.
I also think there are some people who are just dumb.
Yeah,
I tend to agree with you, but I feel like for me, if the next person I date, I would want them to. I would want them to at least have a level of intelligence where they understand basic logic.
Yes, of course.
And you don't have to get into arguments about how logic works.
I've often, and I know this sounds strange. I don't know. Did you? You know what? A lot of my friends. Now it wasn't. The Big Bang Theory. Now it's a show that I know of, but I just never got into it. And I don't know why I never got into it because some of the nerds on there were super cute. But I just never got into it. And I wasn't a fanatic about I'd watch an episode here and there and it was funny, but I was not a fanatic about it. But I've often had fantasies. Oh, here's what happened. Why? And I realized that I do have I'm not a fetish. I don't want to say fetish. To say fetish when it comes to people, it's kind of demeaning. But I do have a thing for super intelligent men. And one time, a table of scientists from Baylor College, and someone told me, "Hey Joel, that table, they're pretty interesting. They're all scientists from Baylor College, medicine, blah 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 blah." And I went, "That's my table. That's my table. That's my table right there." Now, don't get me wrong. A few of them were attractive, but they're not all like super hot. physically they weren't all super hot, but when I would go by the table and I would hear them talking about whatever it was they were talking about. And I understand when you learn the language, but you don't fully understand. So that's how I feel about when it comes to the sciences and math and all this other stuff. I know the language. I just don't understand a lot of it. So when I was hearing them talking, I walked around with a boner the entire time I was waiting on that table. And luckily for me, because I wear an apron because I have slacks on, but I was walking around with a boner the entire time. I just find my fantasy is to wake up in bed with someone who's about to discover something new in the scientific world, and he just wants to share it with me. And even though he knows I don't fully understand, that I understand enough of what's going on. So, and I can be supportive and kind and caring and give him the encouragement without being competitive. I'm smart enough to understand what's going on. Like I said, I'm smart enough to understand what's going on, and I can hold myself in conversations, but I don't fully grasp the deeper understandings that they would fully grasp. So I know I would get lost in some of those conversations, but I would still find them fascinating and something that I never felt. And when I'm in those certain kind of situations, I never feel inferior. I'm always just fascinated because I like the idea of learning. So I'm always just fascinated. So I never have an inferiority complex when it comes to that. So I just find it fascinating. And yes, I walked around with a boner with a table full of scientists. Can't help it. So I think I might identify as gay, saposexual. I'm not gender queer because I still don't understand what that means.
So wait, what?
Gender queer?
Oh, gender queer.
Yeah.
What is that? Girl,
we old. It's.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, gender queer. It's a thing.
Wait, that just means you're non-binary, right?
I think so, but you're still gay, queer? Because a lot of gays call themselves queers, which I'm okay with. By the way, I'm okay with the term queer as well.
Oh, gender queer, denoting or relating to a person who does not subscribe to conventional gender distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like non-binary.
Mm-hmm. So, does that apply to our more effeminate gay men? Do you think to be gender queer?
You're asking the wrong person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, for those of you...
I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the Pride episode, so for those of you out there who want to chime in or any of that stuff, y'all just come to the website or on my Facebook page and just chime in if you're listening to the show. So
I think it's mm-hmm. Okay. There's effeminate just because that's just how you innate behave. Mm-hmm. There's behavior versus putting on
mm-hmm.
Apparel that is sort of mm-hmm. one gender or another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a hard. I think that's a hard distinction, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So I hear
just because you're effeminate mm-hmm. doesn't mean you're genderqueer.
Well, yeah, I think so. I love the fact that the young people. I'm not gonna. I just identify as gay, and like I said, I might be sapiosexual as well. So I like the fact that there's more distinctions, but there are times I think there's too many, and I'm not trying to be negative about all the distinctions. I am not negative at all. I just think that there's so many, and you can identify. Yeah, I feel like you can identify so much. You just don't have one identity, and looking back when I had an argument with someone about it not too long ago, and they're like, well, I identify as this and that, but at the same time, I just want to be such and such. And I'm like, but why are you assigning yourself several identities if you just want to be you? That's a weird argument to have, to identify as genderqueer with a dash of sapiosexual, blah, 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 but you still just want to be known as Pat or Ray. I
think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
I think it's I love that people have the freedom to be whatever they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think obviously no one should be discriminated on for their choice of however they want to live their life, you know, as long as they're not hurting other people. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad, like when I was growing up, there wasn't quite, which was, I mean, I was born in the 70s. I guess I'm a child of the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't know what that makes me. I'm the end of the Gen X. But I was glad when I was growing up that there weren't really all these choices as to how to identify. There was kind of just straight or gay, and so I think it made it less confusing, and also I think it was easier to figure out how you identify because there weren't all these different choices.
Yeah,
you could just be you. I'm gay, but I'm gay like this.
Well, you know, the funny thing was especially during the height of the 80s. Now, I think I went to I think more identify with the mid 80s to the mid 90s than you do. You probably are late 80s to late 90s more. I
mean, I was in high school like the last of the 80s. I graduated in 92.
Okay, so I graduated in 87. So yeah, so we're both Gen Xers, but we're on different sides of Gen Xers. But we're not that far apart. 87 and 92. I think that's
Nintendo Entertainment System.
That's only a 5-year difference between us. So you know, but that's a huge difference. Even generationally, that's still kind of a huge difference.
It is, yeah.
So you know, during that time, you know, for non-binary and all this other stuff, it was basically being androgynous. The term was androgyny at the time. And I think that is where, honestly, and I've had this argument with people before, and I still think it's true. I think non-binary descended from androgyny. Because during the 80s, you had British groups, you had American groups, you had the way that the kids dressed, the way that guys dressed, and everything else was between the feminine and the masculine. And guys wore makeup. Guys wore their hair long. We wore earrings. You know, in the 70s, to wear an earring, it depended on which side of the ear. If I remember correctly, and this is, I'm quoting my father here. I think on the left, you were gay. On the right, you were straight. But even if you were straight, you didn't wear an earring. But if you had to wear an earring, it had to be on the right-hand side. Yeah. So,
and the reason that was like that is because, I mean, back then you couldn't just, I mean, it was not safe to be gay. It's completely different now, but you had to have signs to clue people in that you were gay. And so having the earring on the left side of the ear was a sign that that wasn't completely obvious, and a lot of people might just overlook.
Yeah. So, you know, and I don't recall if you remember, and this is the funny thing, and this is how I didn't realize this until I was much older. And by the way, when I mean much older, I think I was in my 20s when I realized that there was a hint of a conversation about homosexuality on a show that I used to watch. And it had to do with an earring, and that was The Cosby Show. And it was when young Theo...
Wait, that was your first... No, that was your first exposure to something gay on TV?
No, that was my first exposure to the idea of the most popular show during the 80s was The Cosby Show.
Yeah.
And
without a doubt.
And gayness was never really talked about on The Cosby Show at all. I mean, it's like they lived in a bubble. So it was, you know, it was never talked about. I think there was one episode where I think one episode where they talked about teen pregnancy. And,
well, but gayness was never brought up on sitcoms back then.
Actually, they were, but they were done.
Were they? Was it?
Yeah,
I don't really remember that.
I watched this little show on YouTube that talks about queerness in sitcoms from the 80s and 90s. And I did not think about this until now, that one episode of The Cosby Show, when we're talking about the earring, I remember that Bill Cosby's character was making fun of his son because of the earring. And he was trying to notice which ear it was in and everything else. And they had that conversation, but they didn't say the word gay. But there was a level of the masculine talk because he had gotten his ear pierced. I think he had gotten his ear pierced to impress some girl or what have you, if I remember correctly. So the idea of an earring and gayness or masculine or femininity was something that was talked about on the Cosby Show that I think most people overlook. And like I said, I did not notice it. Now, I was younger when I watched it, so it was not I had known about the earring talk, because I think I was 17, 18 when I got an earring. I might have been a little older. No, I was a little older. Yeah, I was a little older. I think I didn't get an earring because of that episode and because of what my father had said about, because I think I did want an earring. And I think it wasn't that episode, and it was a conversation that my father had about an earring and masculinity. So I don't know why that came up all of a sudden when we were talking about earrings, but I do remember that as an episode of the Cosby Show. And Heathcliff made fun of him and of course he did explain that, he did it for a girl and blah, 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 blah. But in the initial conversation was the fact that he might have been worried about his son being a little bit gay.
Would you date a genderqueer?
I have dated all kinds of men, so it's not something that's off the table. I was once asked if I would date a drag queen. Sorry. Excuse me. Let me have a sip of water here.
But a drag queen is a little bit different than a gender. A drag queen is not a genderqueer, is it?
No. I have dated someone who was who I don't know if he would. I think he would identify as genderqueer. I think now I dated someone who was androgynous, so I think that he would if he were to time travel to the present, which don't time travel to 2020. Y'all just skip over this. If you are time traveling out there, just get back. Study us from afar, and you might have a good laugh, but don't get involved. Y'all.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing here.
Yeah, there's nothing here. Just do the UFO thing. Take a look, say we saw it, and then we moved on. That's it.
Yeah.
Do not hang out in 2020. That's all I have to say about that. But no, I did date someone for a little while, and I think he would identify as genderqueer. And this was in the 90s. So I think he would identify as genderqueer. I never really got, I think I let people influence me too much. I think I let
What do you mean?
I think I let peer pressure get in the way of, because
exploring your identity.
Yeah, exploring identity. I think when it came to my friends especially, and which was ironic because these were people, my most effeminate of friends, did not like the idea of you dating someone who was effeminate. And I thought,
wait, say again?
Yeah, and
Your most effeminate friend?
Yeah, and I was confused by that. That always confused me because I'm like, wait a minute. You're effeminate, and you're literally saying that dating effeminate men is not a thing to do. I'm confused. And then they would always explain, well, you know what? You don't want to date this you don't want to date, and this is gays have been saying this for a while. You don't want to date someone who carries the same purse as you. So,
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
So what is that? I kind of understand what that means, but can you just say what that means?
Oh, well, you didn't want to date another person who was effeminate. Two effeminates, right. Yeah, two effeminates don't make a right. I know that's an odd statement to say, but if you're effeminate and gay, you understand what I'm saying. You don't date anyway. That's why we have masculine for masculine now in our post. And by the way, the masculine for masculine thing has been going on even when the days of green sheet in the personals.
Yeah, so this is not want to date the masculine, but the masculines want to date the masculine. Who wants to date the effeminate?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that's been going on for a long time. And like I said, I was always confused by my friends because they were like, I'm like, y'all are feminine, and you're telling me I shouldn't be dating anybody feminine? Now, at the time, and even now, I think I fit in the middle. I don't know if I'm feminine. I never really thought about whether I was feminine or masculine. I'm going to be honest, I never really thought about it. I never thought about whether I was feminine or masculine. I felt like I could go either way, and I felt like it didn't bother me. That is one.
You're pretty. I mean, I don't think you're effeminate, but you do have these little mannerisms. I think they seem more conscious that are a little effeminate, but I think they're just mannerisms that you just adopt every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly think that it's just mannerisms I've always had. So people have always been like, well, I either didn't know you were gay or I kind of had a feeling you were, but I wasn't 100% sure because you kind of have these mannerisms. Blah, 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 blah.
Like every once in a while you'll just queen out, and I'm like, oh, damn, where'd that come from?
Yeah. Because I kind of enjoy it. And
it's fun.
I enjoy it, but I'm not one of those people who really identifies as masculine or effeminate. It never occurred to me to identify as one or the other. I could flame one way or butch it up another way if I wanted to, but I always found out that when I did that, I felt like I was hiding, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact when I butched it up, especially when I'm around my straight friends, and I found myself that I was butching it up too much. I always wondered if I did it because, I thought I was doing it because I was being a very good example of gay men.
How do you butch it up?
With straight men, it's pretty easy. When you're hanging out in a room full of straight dudes, it's pretty easy it just happens, and you're sitting around, you're either playing video games together or you're watching sports together and you're drinking beers and you're hanging out and you're talking about this and that. And, it just happens. I literally just melt in.
What just happens?
I guess the butchness. I just melt into whatever environment I'm in. That's what I do. When you get older, you start to observe certain things about yourself that you find fascinating or you find weird or what have you. And I just always just melted into whatever group I was in. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of natural in many ways, like natural human behavior.
Yeah. So I don't think that I ever really identified as masculine or effeminate. So I never thought it was a big deal to me, but I noticed that especially among, and like I said, it was weirder because it was among my more effeminate. I expected it from masculine gays, pretty much expected it. It's not surprising when they say, well, I don't like dating effeminate men. That is not surprising at all. And what always got me or made me angry was the fact that, wait, aren't we all just sucking each other's dick? I don't understand the difference, but okay, whatever. You're still sucking my dick. I'm still sucking your dick. I don't see where the masculine feminine thing comes in. I mean, I thought we were just all masculine. I mean, masculine on masculine. That was always my thinking. It's still kind of my thinking. So, it's men still having sex with men. We're in the masculine. So I don't understand the idea of the effeminate, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with, because I think the effeminate is just as powerful as the masculine. I hung out with women, and to me, women are these amazing, powerful beings. And oh my Lord, their life. When you hear the life of a woman as compared to a man, how they walk on this earth without just shooting up every man on the planet. I do not.
Right.
I swear to God.
I can't believe the shit they deal with from men.
I cannot. Insane. It's insane.
I feel terrible for them.
Even, you know what? And the problem.
And then on top of that, they have a period every month and just all this stuff they have to deal with. And they're held to higher standards than men are in terms of appearance.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff.
Exactly. And it must be tiring. It must be tiring.
It's got to be hard.
It's got to be hard.
I mean, if you're a dude, you can pretty much just let it go. And people will just be like, oh, well, he's just a guy.
Mm-hmm. If you're a dude, you could just cruise through life. You're fine.
Yes. Yes.
Now, color has something to do with it as well. So sometimes, you know, that plays into play. I don't want to get too involved in that. Y'all know I'm a black man. I know I'm a black man. I wake up every day knowing that. So that's not it's black. When people see me first, they don't see gay. They see black first. Just like if I see a white person, I see white first. That's what I see first. Before you even open your mouth, that is what I see. So we see color. And that's fine, and I don't have a problem with that. I hate when people say, I don't see color. Yes, you do. Every time you walk in, every time you look at a person, the first thing you see is their color. Don't say
I feel like it's disingenuous to say you don't see color.
Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like. I mean, it's like you see when you describe yourself, when you describe me to your friends, how do you describe me? Because I have no problem saying, oh, well, I hang out with Spunkmeyer, and he's.
Oh, how do I describe you?
No, Yeah, here's the thing. No, what I'm saying is, in general, when people say I don't see color, and I've heard that term from some of my friends before. Joel, I don't see color. Well, how do you describe me then when you're hanging out when you're talking about how awesome I am?
Well, I mean, they're not saying they literally don't see color. Mm-hmm. They're just saying they don't. Mm-hmm. Their mind is free of any discrimination or anything like that.
Your mind can still be free of discrimination, but you can still see color. The fact of the matter is that we're all wonderful, unique, different individuals on this planet, and we should enjoy and celebrate that. So when you say you don't see color, you see color.
Absolutely.
But you should celebrate that and celebrate the differences, because I celebrate it every time I lay on top of a man. I celebrate it every time. When I'm laying on top of a black man, white man, Latin man, or whatever man, Asian, whatever man, I celebrate that. When I see those two skin tones mixing up together and
things, it's beautiful.
Hands and
I think we should be able to talk about it and not be crucified because we're mentioning the different colors or whatever.
The different colors.
It's not bad to bring them up.
The colors of the rainbow. So it's fun to say I don't see color, that's a ridiculous saying,
right?
So I feel like that it's okay, it's truly okay if you, and when it comes to preference as well, we're still we're fighting about that, and I understand why we're fighting about it. I honestly do. We are really, I think the gay community is really, over the last few years, really trying to tackle racism in the community. I really think that the gay community is really trying hard.
Really?
I really do. I think they're really trying hard to tackle
racism within the community.
Yeah, racism within the community. I really think that they're starting to have honest conversations about it. I think people of color, and I want to reiterate when I say people of color. When I say people of color, I mean black, Hispanic, Asian, people of color. So when I say people of color, I mean everybody in that wheelhouse. So when people of color are starting to stand out and say, hey, we want to be acknowledged, we want to be recognized as members of the community too. It can't just be white gay men. And, to see them standing up and having a voice and forcing the conversation, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm so proud of when we were growing up. It was we didn't talk about it. We just hemmed and hawed around it. We acknowledged it, but we also acknowledged that there were certain things that gays didn't. When I would go to the bars, and I noticed that the black gays, they would go to the black bars, and the white gays would go to the white bars. And sometimes, they would intermingle. Sometimes. Now, this was
really
early. This was mid-90s and this and that. My cousin and I noticed that on many occasions, but we didn't care. We went to all the bars. We honestly did not care. So we went to all the bars. We had a good time. We made friends. We did all this other stuff. We always had a good time. I have never, and I appreciate this from my mother more than anything else is the fact that she instilled in me the idea of being around different cultures and feeling comfortable with who I am and being comfortable in any given situation. So I've often been in situations where I might be the only black person in the room, or I might be the only black gay person in the room, or what have you, and I am as comfortable as a cucumber. I'm as cool as a cucumber. I am comfortable in my own skin. When people ask me stupid questions, I give them stupid answers, and I have a good time, and I laugh and have a good time. I'm always about having, a good time with people because I like people. So, yes, you'll always get those one or two who say dumb things. There's always going to be some there. And sometimes even when I'm hanging around other black people, somebody says something dumb about me being gay. Somebody says something dumb, and then I got to deal with that. And then I got to deal with, look, I saw you walking into the room. I probably gave you a look, but I know you straight, and I'm not fixing to jump on that. And I don't understand why y'all always think that all we think about is trying to get your dick. I don't understand why y'all always think about that. That's I
have a theory about that because a lot of guys, it's usually the straight predators who feel that way because I feel like they are, preying on women, so they kind of just assume that gay guys are going to prey on them because that's sort of how they operate.
Yeah, and there was a little phase, I think in the early 2000s, maybe the late 90s, where gays were like attracted to straight men. The idea of capturing one in the wild and turning them gay was a thing for a while. And I followed that trend around for a little bit, and then I realized it's too much work and I don't want, it's all that work for 15 minutes a dick. No, thank you. And then all the crying afterwards. No, thank you. I don't want to deal with all of that. That's too much work.
I knew some guy who was in college. When I was in college, I knew some guy that he would only go to the straight bars, and he would actually hook up every night with guys.
Oh, I did. Oh, I was one of those guys too. I would go to a straight bar, but when I went to the straight bars, I just went to hang out with my friends. If something unexpected happened,
now he would go to pick up guys.
Yeah, if something unexpected happened, then yeah. But I think that it also turned into a. I think that on a certain level, it also became very bad because when I would go to a straight bar and hang out, suddenly the idea of picking up a straight guy became a thing. And I think that could be a bad thing. So I don't mind when it happens by accident or when it's a fortuitous, so to speak. But to be actively trying to pick up a straight guy, no. And I've made that.
I've never done that. It just seems like drama to me. It just sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I have had a few cocktails in me and I've made inappropriate passes. And
I've never done that.
I probably paid the price for it.
I'm not very aggressive. So
yeah. That's why I said that it could be a dangerous thing. And I don't think the idea, and I don't like having a conversation with gay men when straight men are their primary source of sex.
Say again?
I don't like it when I have a conversation with gay men and straight men are pursued heavily. And, first of all, I feel insulted. I'm like, wait a minute. Wouldn't you rather be with a gay guy? I mean, we know how to do stuff. I mean, because we've been doing it for a while and we have the experience. Whereas a straight guy, you're going to have to do all the work. I mean, you're literally going to have to do all the work. I don't think I've ever met a straight guy who went, I'd like to try being a bottom. Well, I've actually met one or two, but, they didn't stay straight long. I mean, if you're going to go in the bottom, if you're going to start off as a straight man and you're going into bottom territory, you're not staying straight for long. You're just not going to stay straight for. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go gay. You could go bi, but you are not going to stay. You are not going to call yourself heterosexual.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like once you get that going up your butt, it's hard to not enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. That becomes.
I mean, it's incredibly pleasurable.
Yes,
and everybody likes pleasure, right?
Yeah, exactly. And because I like to think of it as once you get it, once you let somebody back there, you have now made a commitment. You have pretty much made a commitment. You know what? We're going to take a little bit of a break. We have been talking. We've been talking for an hour straight. Damn. We have been talking for an hour straight, which usually doesn't happen on this show. I usually say, let's take a break about the 30-minute mark, but we've been having such a good time talking. But yeah, so we're going to take a little bit of a break because, like I said, my mouth is getting a little, it's getting a little dry here. I need to get some lemon juice and water because I heard that's what you drink when you talk a lot in front of a mic. I don't know why my mouth always gets so dry when I'm talking in front of a mic. I can talk my head off in front of a group. Now, I will say this: there's usually a cocktail when I'm talking. So I had, we were supposed to do the show earlier today, and we were kind of going to make it a thing. So the power went out for like 3 hours here. And so I had to wait several hours. I had planned on, we're going to watch the Pride thing. We're going to talk about it, which we still haven't done. We've hemmed and hawed around it, but we haven't really gotten into it. And actually, I think with all the talk we've done, we've literally covered every realm of gaydom that we could possibly talk about during Pride. So I think we need a break. But once again, when you take it up the butt, you make a commitment. You can't call yourself heterosexual anymore. You don't have to call yourself.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
Okay, well, we'll get back into that. Let's talk about that. And,
I'm not really qualified to say, but just because you like something up your ass doesn't mean you're gay.
Okay, let's talk about that in the next half hour. So let's take a break because you probably want to do a couple of things. Now I have him on the phone. And
what do I do? Do I just stay on the phone?
No, you can I thought you said you were packing a couple of boxes or something.
Yeah, I'm organizing, but okay. I just stay on the line, right?
No, I'll just call you back.
Oh, you'll call me back?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll just call you back. Okay, so we're gonna
sounds good.
We're gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm gonna let him do a couple of things. I'm gonna run to the store and I need something to drink. I need Wait,
how long is this break?
Okay, this is a recorded.
It's all good. Just call me back.
This is a recorded show. It's not like we do it live. I mean, we can take 2 hours. We can take a 2-hour break, but to the audience, we're only gone for 2 minutes.
I just want to know what to expect. I just want to give me an expectation.
Okay, well, I need to get some Topo Chico.
Oh, shit.
Because I ran out of Topo Chico. I had a whole box of that.
Just water.
It's mineral water. I need some mineral water.
Damn.
And, I need some mineral water, and I need to stretch my legs. I've been sitting in this chair. Plus, I'm recording on video. This is not a live. The video's not live, but I want to learn how to do some editing because I'm going to do videos.
Okay, well, I'm going to do my thing, and you call me back whenever you want.
Okay, so audience, we're going to be right back. Also, I'm going to play a little bit of a commercial from our sponsor, Tuvi's Woodworking, yeah. And then we will be back in just a second. So everybody, we'll see you in a minute.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to That Little Gay Talk Show with Joel Tatum and
Mr. Tuval Baruch.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Joel's a close personal friend of mine. We've known each other for a very long time. I'm very happy to be sponsoring the show. My name is Tuval, also known as Tuvi with Tuvi's Woodworking. We do a lot of custom woodworking projects, starting with cutting boards of any size, going all the way up to epoxy river tables, epoxy side tables, beds, cabinetry, really anything that has to do with a custom, specific measurement, specific taste kind of projects.
So basically, Tuvi gives us wood.
Tuvi gives you wood.
I think I'm going to use that one. Tuvi gives you wood. I want to thank my sponsor, Tuvi's Woodworking, for sponsoring the show. If you need anything done when it comes to anything to do with wood, Taval Baruch is your man. That's for sure. And baby, he is a man. He can take care of all your wood needs. He made me the most amazing cutting board with the show's emblem on it. And I got to say, he does do good wood. So Tubi's Woodworking now. He's still working on his website, with the coronavirus thing and everything else. He had to cut back and do a couple of things. He's fully back to work, and he's ready to take whatever order that you need him to take when it comes to anything wood. He can do, like I said, from cutting boards to custom cabinets to whatever outrageous project, swing sets, whatever outrageous project you need him to do for you that involves wood. Taval of Tuvi's Woodworking can do it for you. You can look at him up on Facebook. He does some amazing, hilarious videos, as well as YouTube. Slide into his DMs if you want to order something. Like I said, right now, he's still working on getting his website up where you can actually order stuff from him. So give him a little bit of time. And he's also on Pinterest. So if you need anything done, give him a call. That's Tuvi's Woodworking. DM this man. I swear to God, you will love anything he makes for you. Anyway, we're going to get back to the show. Now I'm going to pick up the phone. I want to take a little bit of a break. It has been fun. I have enjoyed having Spunkmeyer on the show. I haven't had a guest on the show in quite some time, so it's been quite nice to have a guest on the show, especially with all the coronavirus stuff. So I'm going to put this out here real quick before I get Spunkmeyer back on the phone. Ooh, oh my God. Topo Chico. Love that stuff. My mouth feels so much better. Houston, Texas. I need y'all to social distance. I need y'all to put those masks on. I need y'all to wash your hands. I need you to do all the things that we did at the beginning of this, because Houston is now ground zero. Now, we said that at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to say it again. I have friends who work in bars who have now lost their jobs again. I have friends who are servers and who work in the food service who might have to be laid off for a little while because we're back to 50%, because y'all can't get your shit together. Get your shit together, Houston. We have been watching everybody else having to struggle with this, and we've been fine. And then, this stuff happens. So if we can't count on our government to do it, we need to count on each other. We need to count on each other. And if we need to tell if we need to tell each other, do the things that you need to do to protect each other, that's what we need to do. Because if you can tell, we have the most incompetent people in government in the history of the United States of America. The most incompetent people. So do what you need to do. Follow the CDC guidelines. Hands washed. Face covered. Feet 6. Please do that. Let's get Spunkmeyer back on the phone. Hey, Siri. Oh no, I can't use Siri because I don't want y'all to know his real name. Y'all don't need to know that. So we gonna get him back on the phone. Okay, my Face ID wasn't working because I got a mic in front of my face. So let's call him back. Let's see. Hello, Spunkmeyer Brown. Spunkmeyer Brown, can you hear me? Okay, let's get this fool back on the phone. Uh-oh. There we go. Let's get this fool back on the phone.
What's up?
What's up, Spunkmeyer Brown? Welcome back.
Who did?
You know who this is, bitch. No, don't you go down that road, bitch.
What you want?
You know what I want, bitch. Mm-hmm. I want some of that D.
Oh, really?
You are Spunkmeyer Brown, aren't you? I want some of that D.
Oh, it's not for sale.
For sale? I'm not paying for it. Are you serious? Did she just say it's not for sale? It's for sale. You know you want to give it up. I got $10 in there.
Damn.
Welcome back to the second half. Now, I started the show a little bit before you got back on the phone. I had to do a PSA to remind Houstonians what they need to do to survive this coronavirus thing. So, I had to I had to read them, girl, and I didn't want you to, I didn't want you to hear all of that because I used some words. I said some things. I don't want you to get involved in case somebody wants to slap me or something. And where is that Spunkmeyer Brown? Girl, I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about.
It's all good. I'm already wanted by the authorities. So I can't get any more trouble than I'm already in.
Yo, Spunkmeyer, you need to be careful saying that kind of stuff. Gay men love trouble. Gay men love trouble.
Hey, I've been in jail more than once.
Girl, what gay man hasn't been in jail more than once? Good Lord. From the 1930s all the way up, we all been in jail at some point.
Not everybody. Let's see. I know a lot of people who haven't been in jail.
Let's see. I'm trying to think who among my peers have been wrongfully incarcerated.
I was not wrongfully incarcerated.
Oh no, I was rightfully incarcerated. Except, there was that one time that I was wrongfully incarcerated, but for the most part, I was rightly incarcerated. I have been.
Wait, how many times have you been incarcerated?
Twice.
Okay.
And both times were for PI. So it's not like that I spent both. And by the way, the first time I went in for PI, no, actually both times I went in for PI, I paid off tickets.
You what?
I paid off I know this is weird for those of you who don't live in Houston or don't live in Texas. Here's how it works. If you have a lot of traffic tickets and you need to get rid of them, it might work in some other places. I don't know where, but here in Houston, if you have some traffic tickets and you can't afford to pay them, you spend the weekend in jail and all your tickets magically disappear.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm. If you can't afford it now, I would prefer, and I'm going to say this, you pay your ticket. You don't want to do this because you're going to come out looking a mess. Trust me, you're going to see things in there that are going to make you go, you know what, I'm going to pay the damn ticket. So pay your ticket.
I'm all about that, though. You know I want to spend the night in jail.
It's cold. Okay, first of all, it's cold. Secondly, the first time I went to jail...
Oh, what a great experience.
The first time I went to jail had to do with a huge fight that I had with an ex at the time. He unfortunately made the use of a certain word that you shouldn't be saying, especially if you're white, during an argument. And so I kind of beat him up.
What?
I'm not a violent person.
You beat somebody up? Yes,
I'm not a violent person by nature. I am not a violent person by nature, but I have taken a punch or two. So used a certain word that white people shouldn't be using during an argument, and I beat him up, threw all his stuff down the stairs. The police came and they arrested me in my own house. He had arrested in my own house.
Well, yeah, if you assault somebody.
In my own house. He assaulted me first. I'm not fixing to get into that because that's too much drama. Actually, we're gay. That's probably light on the drama. That sounds like an episode of All My Children. Once again, youngins, Google it because I don't have time to explain All My Children to you. But so that's the first time, and I spent a weekend.
There's a hot guy walking by my window.
Is there?
Yeah.
I
love this window.
Well, you've seen my window, so I can literally, if I really tried, I'm not going to do it because I wouldn't suggest anybody do it. I kind of have this, I think they call it a garden window, and it kind of juts out, and it has these little shelves. It's so cute. It has these little shelves. You can put plants in there. I've got some little knickknacks. I've got my Spider-Man statue.
But it's not very good for viewing.
No, well, it actually...
Whatever's walking by.
Well, if you are on the first floor, you're pretty damn obvious. If you're on the second floor, people just think you're looking out the window. So I'm on the second floor. So that's fine. And you can't.
I just straight up like stare at people now. I'm like, I don't care if you know I'm staring at you.
So when I stare at someone, I can stare at someone.
Dude, I'm having sex with them in my mind.
I can stare at them and touch myself a little bit and.
Oh, I don't
some,
I don't go that far.
Have some and that's the beautiful thing about being on the second floor. Nobody knows.
I feel like that's disrespectful.
Why? No one can see me. And I'm not.
You're jerking off to somebody.
I'm not. Okay, I said touching myself. I did not say jerking. I might just reach down there and give a quick grab, or maybe a quick rub because I'm still got over the pants kind of action. Just a quick rub, nothing else. I sound like a perv.
Maybe I've done that. I don't know. I mean, if they're hot enough, I mean, how could you not?
I mean, we live in a neighborhood where guys jog by all the time.
It's actually a pretty hot neighborhood. But I don't see anybody on the apps that is this hot that walks by my window.
So yeah. So
are all these guys straight?
Are they? Or do we?
I don't know.
Can we? You know what I like to do? I like to imagine that they have a fill in the blank sexuality. So I can just fill in the blanks.
I like that. Fill in the blank sexuality.
I mean, it's not like I'm walking up to them, grabbing them by their dick or anything. And I'm in my own house and they're on the street and they don't know what's going on. So it's fine. So I just fill in the blank. They're not heterosexual. They're not gay. I just fill in the blank.
They're metrosexual.
So I just fill in the blank and I'm okay with that. So yeah, that makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel creepy. And now that everybody's hearing it, now I'm going to come off as creepy. But I don't really care. We having a good time.
No.
We've been in quarantine.
I'm so creepy. I'm like, it's 4 months into the pandemic. I'm going to fucking stare at you.
I'm going to stare. Exactly. I'm going to stare.
I'm going to stare as hard as I want.
And I'm not telling you. And let me tell you something because I don't want to hear this. I'm starting to get a few more responses on the Facebook page, and unfortunately, a couple of those responses have not been that good. Well, one gentleman, I do a little bit of advertising. I boost a post every now and then, just to get people interested in the show, that kind of thing. And one gentleman whose profile pic, he had 9 guns in the back and an assault rifle in his hand. And I went, okay, I don't think this is the demographic I was going for. And he left a very angry post, to which I'm like, oh my God, I got my first response. Look at that. I was thrilled. I didn't care about what he said. I was just thrilled that somebody said something. So it was kind of nice that I'm like, oh, this man said something. I might be a little terrified right now, but this man just said something. So I was actually quite thrilled, after, I don't mean to get serious. So I'm going to have one moment of seriousness, when you lose your co-host and you have to redo your show and everything else, and you have to figure out what kind of show you're going to do and how you're going to do it and everything else, it put me in a bad place. Everybody, when I say this, I now realize that this is the most true statement on the planet. Everybody needs a mental health break every now and then. I think I have now discovered the idea, since being in quarantine and having to look inward a lot more than I've ever looked inward before. I usually try to keep myself busy so I don't have to do that. But, in quarantine, you don't have a real choice. And I realized something. We all need to have a mental health break. So please, everybody out there, make sure you take care of yourself. You are the most important person. I know that whether you have a husband and some kids running around, or whether you are single, or whatever position that you're in, if you feel like things are overwhelming, if it feels like that you just can't make it, take a mental health break. Talk to somebody. Talk to your friends. Talk to find a professional if you can. I know a lot of us probably can't afford it, probably have lost their jobs or what have you. There are resources that you can turn to. Please turn to those, especially in the gay community. Especially in the gay community.
Or even just find, I mean, there's like Reddit, subreddits that you can post to, or all sorts of websites that you can just find a forum and post how you're feeling. And you can have someone respond and at least let you know that you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I spent a lot of time online talking to people about how I was feeling and my issues and all this other stuff. And I have another friend who has been life coaching me for a little bit, who's been helping me out every now and then.
Oh, really?
I can't really say his name on air. But, you know, because I'm trying to keep him out of it. But, you know, he's kind of been a rock for me. And, you know, he's helped me with.
He sounds like a really awesome person.
He is a really awesome person. He helped me.
Maybe you should start paying him.
Maybe I should start paying him. Although, if I remember correctly, I think he said something on the lines of that he just wanted to see if he could life coach, so I could be free for a while. So yes, so find someone to turn to. Get out there if you need to talk to someone, especially if you're gay. And by the way, I want to say this because I don't think this is being said enough, especially in this community, and especially those of us who are black and gay. With everything that's going on in the world, George Floyd, all this stuff that's going on, every time you go on the internet, every time that you talk to people, what have you, I know that you can feel a sense of anger, a sense of that you're overwhelmed, all this other stuff. This is especially the time that I'm going to ask black gay men and women, if you need to talk to somebody, find somebody to talk to. Please find somebody to talk to. You need this. We need this right now. I applaud the young people. I applaud the gay community. I really do have to say that I applaud the gay community for getting behind Black Lives Matter. I really do. I never thought in a million years that I could be so proud of a community that has a lot of issues, but they're trying to work on their issues. As I said before, earlier in the broadcast, that, I find that the gay community, the LGBT community, but I especially want to say the gay community, because I think gay men, we can be terrible. We can be terrible. We can be terrible people. A lot of terrible things have happened to us that have put us there. But we can be terrible people. We can be terrible to each other as well as people outside of our group. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to focus on loving ourselves a little bit more as a group. And I feel like that seeing the gay community, especially the gay community, not just the LGs and the bis and the transgendered, but seeing the gay community reaching across the aisle and saying, we need to fix our shit. And let's start by doing this. It's made me so proud to be a gay man right now. It has made me so proud. I'm so proud of the gay community. We have a lot more work to do. But I think that the gay community, I think we as gay men, I'm going to give us a pat on the back a little bit, because like I said, to reach across the aisle, to know a struggle, to know your history, that your history started off as a riot itself, that your history started off with protest itself, and to recognize that those same things are going on, and to reach across and to include that in Pride Month has made me so proud of the gay community. We have a lot of work to do. We need to help our transgender sisters, especially our transgender sisters of color. I think what the Supreme Court has done last week is the most amazing thing ever. Yes. Yes, it is the most.
It seems like a miracle. Like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just seems like a complete. And that was a 6-3 victory, by the way, not 5-4. That was a 6. That's significant. That is significant. That is a 6. That means that 2 other justices who were considered conservative,
yes,
reached out and said, yes, it is discrimination. We can't do that anymore. One of the judges. Now, this is what I've been reading. Might be a little suspect, but the fact of the matter is that this happened again. We are surprised again by a Supreme Court. We were surprised in 2015. Here we are. We're being surprised again in 2020 by a Supreme Court that we thought was 100% against us. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to constitutional law and everything else, conservative or liberal, they seem to. We still have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to say that we're done. And all you queens out there, and I know some queens who are like, "Oh well, we have our rights. We're done." No, we're not done. It's
a sign that we have more mainstream acceptance.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. We do have more mainstream acceptance, but we also get a lot more mainstream hate at the same time. So we still have to deal with that. So laws are changing. And if the gay community needs to learn anything from the black community, laws might change, but sometimes society takes a little longer to change. So you have to go back and change society so that when those laws do change, society is more accepting. So you have to go back and start changing. And to, like I said, to see, and by the way, LGBTQ people taking a risk on Black Lives Matter. Now, Black Lives Matter was considered one of those groups like 4 or 5 years ago. And now to see them shine, to see them really shine, to see people of different colors marching in those protests, also rioting, by the way.
It was so beautiful.
Also rioting, by the way. I've never seen so many white people riot in all my life. But, I'm glad that the media is showing those pictures. They're not just... And to see the pictures, I have seen some amazing things. I saw a picture where a cop was left alone by his other cops. And when the protesters saw that, I think they were getting a little bloodthirsty. And you saw a group of protesters surrounding this cop to protect him. This is not, once again, this is not about the police as people. This is about the police as an organization. This is about changing how we police in this country. It is not a personal thing. It is about changing how we police in this country. It is about changing the rules of how we police in this country, because the rules don't seem to apply when black people try to do all the right things. And I've heard this from white people so many times before. And I'm sorry, Spunkmeyer, I don't mean to make you the Mike Myers of a Kanye West conversation. I don't know if y'all remember that a few years ago.
I never saw that, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, you can see the video on YouTube anytime. So I don't mean to make you the Mike Myers in this conversation, but this is actually
Mike Myers is a douche anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is a positive conversation. So, but the thing is that to see the conversation with white people having the conversation on racism with other white people, I think is a turning point. I honestly do think I have faith in this generation. I have faith in the future because I'm seeing the conversation. Now, I've been seeing the conversation for a couple of years. I'm going to tell a quick story. Went to TK Bitterman's once, and TK Bitterman's, if y'all are going to hear TK Bitterman's a lot, that's one of my favorite places to be. I love the people there. They're very accepting. So y'all are going to hear TK Bitterman's a lot. Went there after work, after having a rough day at work and having to deal with idiots, because I work behind a bar as well. And came in, wanted to have a cocktail in the afternoon, walked in on the conversation of all white people sitting at the bar talking about racism. And I walked in and the room got very quiet. I heard the conversation outside the door. And I stood outside of the door for 2 minutes listening to the conversation. And I heard the arguing back and forth and everything else. And I thought, I I never would have thought that white people would have this conversation ever with each other, not with me, because honestly, black people really get tired of having that conversation. We do. You know, when I was younger, I always thought that I had to be the model black guy. And then when I came out of the closet, I had to be the model gay guy, because I had to show that this community that being black was what I love being black. I had to show that being black is a great thing. I had to show that being gay was a great thing. So I had to be the model black guy and the model gay guy. And then I realized something. It got tiring and I couldn't do it anymore. It's too much work, especially when people don't listen. And especially when people treat you like you don't know anything. And then when I try to, like, you know, talk about intellectual pursuits or things that I like, and to hear the words, oh, I didn't know black people like that. Or, you know, I actually walked up, and I'm going to get back to that story in just a second. Let me finish that story, actually, because I've been accused of trailing off. But to hear that conversation and to walk in to order a drink, and they all got quiet. And then they were like, did you hear the conversation we were having? I'm like, yes, I heard it. Do you have anything to say about it? Here's what I have to say about this conversation. I'll have a bourbon and Coke, and I'll be outside. And I sat outside, and I said, you guys can talk about it as much as you want. I'm not talking about it anymore. And went outside and relaxed and listened to their conversation. And I have to say that is the same conversation that I'm seeing more and more and more now than I've ever seen before. And this is a wonderful thing. I am seeing white people actually having that conversation with each other and confronting each other with that. And it has become, like I said, it's heartwarming. I know that there is a future, even with all this stuff going on. Everybody's talking about the dust thing that's coming from the Sahara Desert. I did a little bit of research, and you know that happens every now and then. And actually,
it happened a few years ago.
Yeah, and it's actually great for the soil. It brings a lot of phosphorus and nitrogen, and it once it reaches, it's great for the soil. So it's been going on for thousands of years. This is not a new thing. I realize that with all the stuff that's happening, that soil could be full of super microbes or nanites or something that'll destroy mankind. We've had enough. I love the fact that people are like, I just wish we had the zombie apocalypse. If this would have been so much easier. But yeah, so I just, like I said, I just love the fact that we're having this conversation, and it makes me feel good. It really does make me feel good to see, and I'm seeing it in everyday life as well. I'm hearing it in everyday life where people are having the conversation, and it's mostly white people having the conversation. They might feel uncomfortable about having the conversation, but I think when they have the conversation with each other, I think they're starting to realize that it's actually much more uncomfortable than having a conversation with a black person. I think they're finding out that it's actually much more uncomfortable to have that with other white people than it is with black people. So I think that eyes are being opened. But I'm gonna be done with that because it's Pride and I'm having a good time. So go ahead, Spunkmeyer. What you got to say?
Go ahead. Well, I mean, I did want to go back to what you were talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
People were needing a mental break, and I just wanted to put it out there that if you are having a tough time right now, just to remember that if you are consuming alcohol or other drugs,
yes,
I drink alcohol too. I'm not against alcohol or drugs or anything like that, but just be aware that those things can have a profound effect on your neurotransmitters. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, it can really cause major depression.
Yes, it can.
So if you're being depressed from this, just be aware of how much you're consuming and try and cut it back if you feel like you need to.
And like I said, I know that in the early days when everybody was scared, and I know everybody was scared, in the early days, alcohol might have been a little bit of a comfort. It was the only thing that you could count on. It honestly probably was the only thing you could count on. So as we moved further on into this, and now that, and the possibility, especially here, back in Texas, that we could possibly go back into quarantine again if we don't get stuff together, which is why I'm begging Houstonians to get your shit together. Mask, distance, washing of the hands, do those things. We can get back. We can get those numbers down. Please just do that. But if the terrible thing happens and that we have to go back into full quarantine, please note that we have to do this because we have to get those numbers down. But like I said, alcohol, I get it. At the beginning, you were scared, everything else. But if we have to go back in quarantine, you're not scared anymore. You know how this goes. So I
think it would be wise if the listeners out there, if you have any sort of computer literacy, or you feel like you have it or can use computers to learn a computer skill. If you're out of a job right now, it'll really behoove you to learn a computer skill that you could, so you could do a job over the computer. So you won't have to be dependent on being out there and interacting.
And I've said this before, and I will keep drilling this into the heads of everybody who works in the food service industry. It will behoove you to look at online classes, to find online schools.
You got to know the second.
Yeah, I am taking
second way of income.
Yeah, I am taking social media management, and I have learned so much about social media. I have learned so much. I feel like, I feel like a 16-year-old on TikTok because I've learned so much. I'm serious. I feel like a 16-year-old on TikTok.
What's TikTok? Is that a drug?
No, girl.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, by the way, one of the things that I would like to say to the young people, and by the way, I do not ever want to hear negative comments about millennials or Gen Zers ever again from boomers or Gen Xers.
Right.
I don't ever want to hear that again, that they're lazy and they're entitled and blah, 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 blah. Because let me tell you what I've learned from both groups. I have learned that these kids are resilient. They're ready to get to work, and they know that the internet is the way to go. And trust me, I have learned a lot from my social media classes and everything else. So I'm telling you right now, especially people our age, we need those skills, especially because when we get older, we're going to need those skills because we're going to have to take care of each other. And if we don't have the skills necessary to do that, we're going to be left behind. So you need to develop those skills. I think it's so important, especially in our age group, that we develop better skills when it comes to navigating the internet, when it comes to using a computer, that kind of thing. I'm tired of hearing excuses about, the internet is the devil. It's that blah, 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 blah. Guess what? The internet is the part of your life. Get used to it. It's not going away anytime soon. So because it's not going to, you need to develop better skills. So get out there and develop some skills, because if like I said, if we go back in quarantine and my restaurant closes for good, at least I'll have some skills that I can go look for a job on the internet and probably work from home while doing the show at the same time, because a lot of jobs are now going to be moved to the home. So you need to get those skills.
I mean, once COVID is taken care of, there's no guarantee that, COVID 20 isn't right around the corner.
So, and from what I've been reading, we're getting close. I think we're getting close to finding a treatment that'll work. I think we're getting close to it. Unfortunately, this is not how I wanted everybody to do it, but scientists are getting close to finding a treatment. If it might take a little time to find a vaccine, but at least if we could find a treatment that works, just like in the days of HIV and AIDS, if we can find a treatment that works, I think we'll be okay until we get a vaccine. We're close to an AIDS vaccine. We're so close, and we would have been closer if COVID hadn't come around. But we are so close to an HIV/AIDS vaccine. It's ridiculous. And like I said, if COVID hadn't come around, we probably would already have a vaccine for it. That's how confident.
Really, we're that close.
Yeah, we're that close. I wow. Honestly, I read a lot of scientific journals. You'd be amazed. So yeah,
I'm getting a boner right now.
I know.
Oh, maybe I am sapiosexual.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. But the thing is that yeah, we were getting so close from a genetic point of view to. I mean, they have already just figured out all the codes and everything else when it comes to this virus that would be able to help when it comes to fighting future viruses. So, yeah, we're so close than we've ever been, but COVID interrupted that. So now, yeah. So now we're back to the drawing board, but I think because of everything that we've learned with the AIDS, with the HIV virus, we're going to get to a vaccine with COVID a lot quicker. Right now, we just have to deal with it, and this is our world. We have to get used to it. And for those of you out there who are still trying to fight back against it, who are saying that it's a hoax or what have you, had a brother who went through it. I had a lung infection. If you've ever had a lung infection, if you've ever had pneumonia, if you ever had asthma, if you've had any of that stuff, you know how that feels. So COVID is far worse. And you need to be prepared for that. So that's that. I wanted to keep it fun and light, and we've been keeping it fun and light. You know what? I'm going to segue into this because I think we're close to being done with the episode. I think.
Wait, I have a shout out.
Okay, give a shout out. Give a shout out, Spunkmeyer.
Kim Petras, bitch. She has her new video, Malibu, out. Mm-hmm. If y'all need something to put you in a good mood, watch this video.
Okay.
She made it when she was in quarantine, and it's basically all her fans sent videos of them dancing to her song.
Okay,
it's amazing. I watch it like 10 times a day.
You'll
love it.
I will say this. I'm sorry for this, Spunkmeyer. I didn't know who Kim Petras was. I'm sorry. I did not know who she was.
I know, bitch.
I did not know who she was. And then he's like, oh, Kim Petras, you got to watch this video. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I watched the whole Pride thing. And, of course, Ricky Martin's new song. Oh, my God. I don't understand the words, but it's sexy, and I love it. I love it. But here comes Kim Petras. I saw Katy Perry's new... Was that her new song, or is that an old?
That's her, Daisy. Yeah, I like that song.
It was okay. I liked it. I thought it was cute and whimsical.
I like it, but I'm like, Katy Perry ain't gay, so why is she on the show?
But you could be an ally and be on the show, right?
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it was cute, and I thought, oh, this is cute. And then I saw this tiny little girl with these long ponytails. I'm like, girl, look at that hair. That weave. Look at those weaves, girl. That's amazing. And she's just a tiny little thing in blue pajamas.
Yeah.
Blue and white pajamas with a little guitar player next to her singing this cute little song. And I went, oh, I see why he likes this. This is cute.
That's Malibu. Yeah, that's her Malibu
song. I will endorse that song. It's a very good song. I'm going to watch the video for it on YouTube because I watch all my music on YouTube, and the kids keep sending me all kinds of stuff the kids at work always send me music that I need to listen to. And I'm very flattered at 52. I'm very flattered that the kids at work want to.
Well, you got to share some of it with me. I'm trying to find some new good music.
I know they share their music with me, and I am very flattered that they do that. I'm not trying to, I always felt like that when I was at old fogey stage. Now that I'm 52, a lot of my friends at this age are old fogies, but they love being old fogies. I recognize something. There are a couple of my friends that actually do like being old fogies on a certain level. They've done all their stuff and they're okay with this stage of their life. And I think that's pretty cool that they're okay with that. I used to hate it and think, oh, I don't want to be old and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? I think they're okay with their thing. And
it's just your health going south kind of sucks. But other than that. take care of your health as long as you can.
Yeah,
once you lose it, it really does suck.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm trying to take care of my health now. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm drinking this Topo Chico, and I have the burps. Oh, and I ate some Chinese food. This mic probably smells like Chinese food.
Oh, by the way, I love the little intro song that you did. I didn't really hear it all the way, but
you know what? I wanted to play Carl Bean's. I'm sorry. What's the name of that song? Born This Way. And I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard Born This Way by Carl Bean? It's from 1979, 77. This was before Chromatica and Lady Gaga. This is
no, I've never heard of it.
Well, I wanted to play it on the show, but unfortunately, it's a copyrighted song, and I thought that I could play 30 seconds of it on the podcast, but it turns out that you can't even play 5 seconds of it. It's copyrighted material. You can't do it. So I actually, you know what? I put it on the board, and I was going to play it for Pride, but I can't do it. I don't want to get sued, so all I have to say is go to YouTube, Carl Bean's Born This Way, and I think I remember the words. Let's see. Let me see if I remember the words. I'm happy, I'm carefree, and I'm gay. I was born this way.
Oh, shit. What?
I can sing it a little bit. Let me sing it. I'm happy, I'm carefree, and I'm gay. I was born this way. Yep, that's it. So look it up on YouTube. It's from 19. And by the way, I read his little. He's a minister now. He's still gay. By the way, when I say minister, he's still gay. He is a member of the Unity Church. That where you can be gay and be a Christian. So, yes, he's still gay and a Christian. He's 70-something years old.
Well, Unity is not Christian.
Well, I have no idea. Well, I have no idea. As long as it's spiritual,
I thought they were aren't they Unitarian, or is Unity different from that?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't honestly know the difference. I just know that it's not Baptist or Catholic, so.
Yeah, well, if Unity is Unitarian, they're not Christian.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess they believe in.
But they do read from the Bible. They're like everything. They sort of embrace everything.
Mm-hmm. You know what religion surprised? You know who surprised me? I read about Quakers. Have you ever read about Quakers? Quakers are the most liberal they're the most liberal Christian group, I think.
Wait, what?
Yes,
I thought they were the ones where you can't dance or anything like that.
Well, I mean, yes, they still have their thing, but when it comes to worship, they don't believe in churches. They believe that you worship God wherever you worship. They don't have a minister or any of that stuff. They get together and they worship. They believe that all people are equal under the eyes of God, and they don't care about your sexual orientation or any of that stuff. Now, this is what I've read. Once again, if you're listening to the show and you know a little bit more, let me know on my Facebook page, That Little Gay Talk Show, or at the website, thatlittlegaytalks.com. Let me know, because I might be wrong. I did read this on the internet, and I was fascinated by the fact that Quakers are the most liberal of all Christian groups. They consider themselves
Christian.
Christian.
Take that with a grain of salt.
They are a Christian, but they are the most, and they were, by the way, the Quakers and the Amish. Did you see those pictures? Black Lives Matter. They were marching with Black Lives Matter. Oh my God. Quakers and the Amish. Yes, they were. There are actual pictures. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is exactly how you do a movement when you have the Amish and Quakers on your side. So there we go. Well, this has been a fun Pride episode. I thought we would do some games. Oh, by the way, I want to share something with you, Spunkmeyer. Amazon Prime, and I think I've talked to you about this before. The most amazing LGBTQ movies I've ever seen. They have a selection, bar none, that is amazing. I found some movie.
Really?
I found some movies from the 1970s. Now, first of all, I had never seen the movie The Boys in the Band. I'd never seen it. I'm sorry, 52, never saw the movie The Boys in the Band. And it is from 1970, I think. It was one of the first movies to show gay characters. And
I don't know if I've seen that. I forget.
Okay, Amazon Prime. You need to watch it. It is amazing. It is this is where I realized that gay men are the most vicious beings on the planet. We are. I am very proud to be a gay man, very much so. But I understand why we are so vicious and why we are sometimes so terrible to each other. If you watch this movie, you get it. We have friends like this. We know people like this. And this is from 1970. This is from so Amazon Prime, please watch The Boys. Not any other version except the 1970s version, because it can get vicious, a little racist, by the way, a little racist. So if you can't handle that, don't watch this movie. But I would prefer that you watch the 1970s. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Topo Chico. Yeah, bitch.
I would prefer that, especially young gays, you have to see these kind of movies because you have to understand where the gay community comes from sometimes when it comes to who we are and sometimes when it comes to race. You need to see these kind of movies because you need to understand the gay community better. And I think that you will understand the gay community better. By the way, I also found, and this will be very interesting to you, Spunkmeyer, I found a movie with a certain actress from the Golden Girls from 1971. And she played a fag hag in this movie.
What?
Yes. She played a fag hag, and I understand now the character.
Bo Arthur?
No, I understand the character of Blanche Devereaux a lot.
Oh my God, I love her.
I know Rue McClanahan, and I have it here. That's
my favorite character.
Let me see. Let me.
On Golden Girls.
Oh, Blanche Devereaux. You know, that's in my group of friends. I'm the Blanche Devereaux. I wanted to be the Sophia. No, not the Sophia. I wanted to be the B. Arthur character. Oh, I so admired Dorothy. I love Dorothy. Dorothy is she is just balls to the wall. The most of all the Golden Girls, she was always the most balls to the wall bitch. I wanted to be that bitch. Proud to
balls to the wall. What do you mean?
I'm sorry, Dorothy. Have you met that character? I mean, she walks into a room and she just she takes over a room. She owns everything. She owns everything. And is proud to be who she is and has to deal with her mother and everybody insulting her and making her feel like bad for being who she is. But she stands up and is proud to be who she is. That's why I love Dorothy. I've always loved the B. Arthur character. Loved her. Always did. But Blanche, I had a secret love for Blanche because I loved her sexuality. And I love the fact that she loved her sexuality. And I thought that when I reached a certain age, I wanted to still love my sexuality. Because I think that gay men love youth. But I think that when gay men reach a certain age, they think that their sexuality is done at a certain age. And I didn't want that to go away. I am a very sexual being. I want to be sexual until I'm 85 years old, down in between two 30-year-olds. That's my dream. So, yeah. So, it's called, let me find that. I actually had this prepared. I'm sorry. I actually found it on the internet. I think it's called Some of My Best Friends Are. And it's with Ruth, and she plays a very small part, but I was shocked because I found this on Amazon Prime. Gays, I'm telling you, if you want to watch some really terrible gay movies, or you will find some gems. I swear to God, on Amazon Prime, you will find some gems on Amazon Prime. This was one of those gems because this was the first time that I've seen Rue McClanahan in another movie. By the way, she still looked like Blanche. I swear to God, it was 1971. It was 1980 something when she played Blanche. So that's only a 10-year difference, 10 or 15-year difference. She still looked the same, girl. Let me just make sure some of my best friends are there. But yes, find it on. Yes, some of my best friends are. It's from 1971. It is a portrait of a gay bar in 1971, and it's hilarious. It's eye-opening. It's a little bit sad. And like I said, Rue McClanahan plays this fabulous. I think she plays an actress who surrounds herself with gay men and loves the gay lifestyle. And she's the queen bee. She steps into this bar. She is the ultimate queen bee. It's just amazing. You need to watch it. Hello, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, so I think we should end the show. Is there anything you want to talk about or anything else? Because we have literally done a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. We have literally done a 2-hour show. I've had a good time. It is Pride. I want everybody to have a good time. Enjoy your Pride any way you want to. I realize that for a lot of us, we've had to stay home. For a lot of us, we could invite friends over and couldn't do all the stuff that we normally do on Pride. For a lot of us, we actually skipped Pride because it was always too crowded. But I think Pride 2020 is a little bit different this year. I think that we are turning a corner. We have reached new heights. And I think that the LGBTQIA community, once again, I want to say, especially to the T's, to my transgendered brothers and sisters, because we're going to end this show right. I realize that if you listen to past episodes, in the early days when I first started this show, and I started this with another co-host, that I might have been a bit transphobic. I might not have understood a lot of things when it comes to the trans community. The trans community and the gay community have intertwined my entire life when it comes to the bar scene, when it comes to everything else. It has intertwined in my life since I first came out. I want to apologize, first of all, for anything that might have been said in the earlier days. Secondly, the more that I see what is happening in the trans community, the more that I want to celebrate it, but the more that I also want it to be known that I do see you. We as gay men, we see you. We need you to have your own fight. We need you to do your own Stonewall. We want to be your allies, and I think you need us as your allies. But I think you also need this to be your movement. This needs to be your thing. This is your AIDS moment. This is the moment where you are seeing your fellow sisters being murdered consistently. Your fellow sisters, you fought to make sure that they get equal employment. Now we need to work on employment opportunities so we can get our transgender women off the streets so that they are not hoeing on the streets anymore. They can get jobs. They can do the things they need to do. They can have a place to live. They can do the things that they need to do. And thanks to a transgendered woman, you can do that now. But your journey, you have a lot more work to do. And you need to step forward and you need to take charge. You need to have your own movement. You need to get out in the streets. You need to do that. You need to protest. You need to do all the stuff that you need to do. You need to protect each other. I want the gay community to be your ally, but I don't want the gay community to take over your fight. Your fight is your fight. You need to take it. So we're done. Spunkmeyer Brown, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
It was fun. This is the best Pride that I think that I've ever had. And I feel like for those of you who, for the few of you who listen to the show, thank you for still sticking. I have watched the numbers for the last week, and I hadn't put out a show, I think, in 2 weeks. And it's honest. I haven't put out a show in 2 weeks. Didn't know what direction I was going to go in. Didn't know how I was going to do this show, everything else. But the numbers are still good, and I still see a fan base. So I want to tell all those people who are still listening to the show, thank you for listening to the show. Thank you so much. I'm going to work hard for you because you are the fans that still listen to the show. Even if I get new fans, you are the base fans that still listen to the show. And I love you, and I appreciate it more than you could possibly know. I'm going to work harder to put out a new show every week. I'm going to get over my thing of working alone because I have worked alone for a long time. I mean, I've had a co-host for a while, and you were used to that. And the fact that you're still sticking around says a lot to me. So I'm going to work for you. I'm ready to have a good time when it comes to the show. I'm ready to be in a new place. And like I said, I've some friends now. I have people who are going to help me figure my thing out so that I can help you have a good time. Because we should have a good time. We should enjoy ourselves. We should have a laugh. We should do the things that we need to do to survive in this world. So I'm happy that you're still here, and I'm happy that I'm working for you. So good night. Spunkmeyer Brown, thank you for being on the show. I hope to have you on the show again sometime in the future, whenever you want. Whatever you want.
For sure. Thank you. I had a good time. I had a really good time.
I had a really good time. And this is one of the best Pride. You know, we were supposed to go down. I was hoping we'd go downtown and we would talk to like 19 different people and all kinds of things. And maybe next year we'll be able to do that. If you guys get your stuff together. I'm going to say it one more time so I can end this show. Hands washed. Wear your face mask. And 6 feet. We can get through this. We can get through this. Love you. Peace and hair grease. Good night, everybody.